Chapter 8 Electromagnetic Waves Introduction. James Clerk Maxwell in 1831 to 1879 argued that this was indeed the case. Not only an electric current but also a time-varying electric field generates a magnetic field. While applying Ampere's circuital law to find a magnetic field at a point outside a capacitor connected to a time-varying current, Maxwell noticed an inconsistency in Ampere's circuital law. He suggested the existence of an additional current called by him the displacement current to remove this inconsistency. Maxwell formulated a set of equations involving electric and magnetic fields, their sources, the charge and current densities. These equations are known as Maxwell's equations. Together with the Lorentz force formula, they mathematically express all the basic laws of electromagnetism. The most important prediction to emerge from Maxwell's equations is the existence of electromagnetic waves, which are coupled time-varying electric and magnetic fields that propagate in space. The speed of the waves, according to these equations, turned out to be very close to the speed of light, which is 3 × 10⁸ meter per second, obtained from optical measurements. This led to the remarkable conclusion that light is an electromagnetic wave. Maxwell's work thus unified the domain of electricity, magnetism, and light. Hertz in 1885 experimentally demonstrated the existence of electromagnetic waves. Its technological use by Marconi and others led in due course to the revolution in communication that we are witnessing today. Displacement current. An electrical current produces a magnetic field around it. Maxwell showed that for logical consistency, a changing electric field must also produce a magnetic field. This effect is of great importance because it explains the existence of radio waves, gamma rays, and visible light, as well as all other forms of electromagnetic waves. To see how a changing electric field gives rise to a magnetic field, let us consider the process of charging a capacitor and apply Ampere's circuital law given by contour integral B into dl is equal to mu0 I of t, equation 1, to find the magnetic field at a point outside the capacitor. The figure shows a parallel plate capacitor C, which is a part of the circuit through which time-dependent current I of t flows. Let us find the magnetic field at a point such as P in a region outside the parallel plate capacitor. For this, we consider a plane circular loop of radius r, whose plane is perpendicular to the direction of the current carrying wire and which is centered symmetrically with respect to the wire. From symmetry, the magnetic field is directed along the circumference of the circular loop and is the same in magnitude at all points on the loop, so that if B is the magnitude of the field, the left side of equation 1 is B into 2 pi r. So we have B into 2 pi r is equal to mu0 I of t, equation 2. Now consider a different surface which has the same boundary. This is a pot-like surface that nowhere touches the current but has its bottom between the capacitor plates. Its mouth is the circular loop mentioned above. Another such surface is shaped like a tiffin box without the lid. On applying Ampere's circuital law to such surfaces with the same perimeter, we find that the left-hand side of equation 1 has not changed, but the right-hand side is 0 and not mu0 I. Since no current passes through the surface of figure, so we have a contradiction. Calculated one way, there is a magnetic field at a point P Calculated another way, the magnetic field at P is 0. Since the contradiction arises from our use of Ampere's circuital law, this law must be missing something. The missing term must be such that one gets the same magnetic field at point P, no matter what surface is used. We can actually guess the missing term by looking carefully at figure. Is there anything passing through the surface S between the plates of the capacitor? Yes, of course, the electric field, if the plates of the capacitor have an area A and a total charge Q, the magnitude of the electric field E between the plates is Q upon A whole upon epsilon 0. The field is perpendicular to the surface S of figure. It has the same magnitude over the area A of the capacitor plates and vanishes outside it. So what is the electric flux phi E through the surface S? Using Gauss's law, it is phi E is equal to modulus of E into A is equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 Q upon A into A is equal to Q upon epsilon 0. Equation 3. Now, if the charge Q on the capacitor plates changes with time, there is a current I is equal to dq upon dt. So that using equation 3 we have d phi E upon dt is equal to d upon dt Q upon epsilon 0 is equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 dq upon dt. This implies that for consistency, epsilon 0 into d phi E upon dt is equal to I. Equation 4. This is the missing term in Ampere's circuital law. If we generalize this law by adding to the total current carried by conductors through the surface another term which is epsilon 0 times the rate of change of electric flux through the same surface, the total has the same value of current I for all surfaces. If this is done, there is no contradiction in the value of B obtained anywhere using the generalized Ampere's law. B at the point P is non-zero no matter which surface is used for calculating it. B at point P outside the plates is the same as at point M, just inside, as it should be. The current carried by conductors due to the flow of charges is called conduction current. The current given by equation 4 is a new term and is due to changing electric field or electric displacement, an old term still used sometimes. It is therefore called displacement current or Maxwell's displacement current. The figure shows the electric and magnetic fields inside the parallel plate capacitor discussed above. The generalization made by Maxwell then is the following. The source of a magnetic field is not just the conduction of electric current due to flowing charges, but also the time rate of change of the electric field. More precisely, the total current I is the sum of the conduction current denoted by IC and the displacement current denoted by ID is equal to epsilon 0 into d phi E upon dt. So we have I is equal to IC plus ID is equal to IC plus epsilon 0 d phi E upon dt. Equation 5. In explicit terms, this means that outside the capacitor plates, we have only conduction current IC is equal to I and no displacement current, that is ID is equal to 0. On the other hand, inside the capacitor, there is no conduction current, that is IC is equal to 0, and there is only displacement current, so that ID is equal to I. The generalized and correct Ampere's circuital law has the same form as equation 1, with one difference. The total current passing through any surface of which the closed loop is the perimeter is the sum of the conduction current and the displacement current. The generalized law is contour integral B into dl is equal to mu 0 IC plus mu 0 epsilon 0 d phi E upon dt. Equation 6, and is known as Ampere-Maxwell law. In all respects, the displacement current has the same physical effects as the conduction current. In some cases, for example, in steady electric fields in a conducting wire, the displacement current may be zero since the electric field E does not change with time. In other cases, for example, in the charging capacitor above, both conduction and displacement currents may be present in different regions of space. In most cases, they both may be present in the same region of space, as there exists no perfectly conducting or perfectly insulating medium. Most interestingly, there may be large regions of space where there is no conduction current, but there is only a displacement current due to time-varying electric fields. In such a region, we expect a magnetic field through there is no conduction current source nearby. The prediction of such a displacement current can be verified experimentally. For example, a magnetic field, say at point M, between the plates of the capacitor in figure can be measured and is seen to be the same as that just outside at P. The displacement current has literally far-reaching consequences. One thing we immediately notice is that the laws of electricity and magnetism are now more symmetrical. Faraday's law of induction states that there is an induced electromotive force equal to the rate of change of magnetic flux. Now, since the electromotive force between 2 points 1 and 2 is the work done per unit charge in taking it from 1 to 2, the existence of an electromotive force implies the existence of an electric field. So, we can rephrase Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction by saying that a magnetic field changing with time gives rise to an electric field. Then, the fact that an electric field changing with time gives rise to a magnetic field is the symmetrical counterpart and is a consequence of the displacement current being a source of a magnetic field. Thus, time-dependent electric and magnetic fields give rise to each other. Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction and Ampere-Maxwell law gives a quantitative expression of this statement, with the current being the total current as in equation 5. Maxwell's equations. Number 1. Contour integral E into dA is equal to Q upon epsilon 0, which is Gauss's law for electricity. Number 2. Contour integral B into dA is equal to 0, which is Gauss's law for magnetism. Number 3. Contour integral E into dl is equal to minus d phi b upon dt, which is Faraday's law. Number 4. Contour integral B into dl is equal to mu 0 IC plus mu 0 epsilon 0 d phi E upon dt, which is Ampere-Maxwell law. Example, a parallel plate capacitor with circular plates of radius 1 meter has a capacitance of 1 nanofarad. At t is equal to 0, it is connected for charging in series with a resistor R is equal to 1 mega ohm across a 2 volt battery. Calculate the magnetic field at a point P halfway between the center and the periphery of the plates after t is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 second. The charge on the capacitor at time t is Q of t is equal to Cv into 1 minus exponential of minus t upon tau, where the time constant tau is equal to Cr. Solution. The time constant of the CR circuit is tau is equal to Cr is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 second. Then we have Q of t is equal to Cv into 1 minus exponential of minus t upon tau is equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 9 into 1 minus exponential of minus t upon 10 raised to minus 3. The electric field in between the plates at time t is E is equal to Q of t upon epsilon 0 A is equal to Q upon pi epsilon 0. A is equal to pi into 1 square meter square is equal to area of the plates. Consider now a circular loop of radius 1 upon 2 meter parallel to the plates passing through P. The magnetic field B at all points on the loop is along the loop end of the same value. The flux phi E through this loop is phi E is equal to E into area of the loop is equal to E into pi into 1 upon 2 whole square is equal to pi E upon 4 is equal to Q upon 4 epsilon 0. The displacement current ID is equal to epsilon 0 d phi E upon dt is equal to 1 upon 4 dq upon dt is equal to 0.5 into 10 raised to minus 6 exponential of minus 1 at t is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 second. Now applying Ampere-Maxwell law to the loop, we get B into 2 pi into 1 upon 2 is equal to mu 0 into IC plus ID is equal to mu 0 into 0 plus ID is equal to 0.5 into 10 raised to minus 6. Mu 0 exponential of minus 1 or B is equal to 0.74 into 10 raised to minus 13 Tesla. Electromagnetic waves. Number 1. Sources of electromagnetic waves. How are electromagnetic waves produced? Neither stationary charges nor charges in uniform motion, that is, steady currents, can be sources of electromagnetic waves. The former produces only electrostatic fields, while the latter produces magnetic fields that, however, do not vary with time. It is an important result of Maxwell's theory that accelerated charges radiate electromagnetic waves. The proof of this basic result is beyond the scope of this book, but we can accept it on the basis of rough qualitative reasoning. Consider a charge oscillating with some frequency. An oscillating charge is an example of an accelerating charge. This produces an oscillating electric field in space, which produces an oscillating magnetic field, which in turn is a source of the oscillating electric field, and so on. The oscillating electric and magnetic fields thus regenerate each other, so to speak, as the wave propagates through space. The frequency of the electromagnetic wave naturally equals the frequency of oscillation of the charge. The energy associated with the propagating wave comes at the expense of the energy of the source, the accelerated charge. All we needed to do was to set up an AC circuit in which the current oscillates at the frequency of visible light, say yellow light. But alas, that is not possible. The frequency of yellow light is about 6 into 10 raised to 14 Hz, while the frequency that we get even with modern electronic circuits is hardly about 10 raised to 11 Hz. This is why the experimental demonstration of the electromagnetic waves had to come in the low frequency region, that is, the radio wave region, as in Hertz's experiment in 1887. Hertz's successful experimental test of Maxwell's theory created a sensation and sparked off other important works in this field. Two important achievements in this connection deserve mention. 7 years after Hertz, Jagdish Chandra Bose, working at Calcutta, now Kolkata, succeeded in producing and observing electromagnetic waves of much shorter wavelength, that is 25 mm to 5 mm. His experiment, like that of Hertz, was confined to the laboratory. At around the same time, Guglielmo Marconi in Italy followed Hertz's work and succeeded in transmitting electromagnetic waves over distances of many kilometers. Marconi's experiment marks the beginning of the field of communication using electromagnetic waves. Number 2. Nature of electromagnetic waves. It can be shown from Maxwell's equations that electric and magnetic fields in an electromagnetic wave are perpendicular to each other and to the direction of propagation. Consider figure. The electric field inside the plates of the capacitor is directed perpendicular to the plates. The magnetic field this gives rise to via the displacement current is along the perimeter of a circle parallel to the capacitor plates. So, B and E are perpendicular in this case. This is a general feature. In figure, we show a typical example of a plane electromagnetic wave propagating along the z direction. The fields are shown as a function of the z coordinate at a given time t. The electric field Ex is along the x-axis and varies sinusoidally with z at a given time. The magnetic field By is along the y-axis and again varies sinusoidally with z. The electric and magnetic fields Ex and By are perpendicular to each other and to the direction z of propagation. We can write Ex and By as follows. Ex is equal to E0 sin kz minus omega t, equation 7a. By is equal to B0 sin kz minus omega t, equation 7b. Here k is related to the wavelength lambda of the wave by the usual equation. K is equal to 2 pi upon lambda, equation 8. And omega is the angular frequency. K is the magnitude of the wave vector or propagation vector. K and its direction describes the direction of propagation of the wave. The speed of propagation of the wave is omega upon k. Using equations 7a and b, for Ex and By and Maxwell's equations, one finds that omega is equal to ck, where c is equal to 1 upon square root of mu 0 epsilon 0, equation 9a. The relation omega is equal to ck is the standard one for waves. This relation is often written in terms of frequency. Nu is equal to omega upon 2 pi and wavelength lambda is equal to 2 pi upon k, as 2 pi nu is equal to c into 2 pi upon lambda, or nu lambda is equal to c, equation 9b. The magnitude of the electric and the magnetic fields in an electromagnetic wave are related as B0 is equal to E0 upon c, equation 10. We here make remarks on some features of electromagnetic waves. They are self-sustaining oscillations of electric and magnetic fields in free space or vacuum. They differ from all the other waves in respect that no material medium is involved in the vibrations of the electric and magnetic fields. Sound waves in air are longitudinal waves of compression and rarefaction. Transverse waves on the surface of water consist of water moving up and down as the wave spreads horizontally and radially onwards. Transverse elastic sound waves can also propagate in a solid, which is rigid and that resists shear. Scientists in the 19th century were so much used to this mechanical picture that they thought that there must be some medium pervading all space and all matter which responds to electric and magnetic fields just as any elastic medium does. They called this medium ether. They were so convinced of the reality of this medium that there is even a novel called The Poison Belt by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. the creator of the famous detective Sherlock Holmes, where the solar system is supposed to pass through a poisonous region of ether, we now accept that no such physical medium is needed. The famous experiment of Michelson and Moley in 1887 demolished conclusively the hypothesis of ether. Electric and magnetic fields oscillating in space and time can sustain each other in vacuum. Light, an electromagnetic wave, does propagate through glass. For example, the total electric and magnetic fields inside a medium are described in terms of a permittivity epsilon and a magnetic permeability mu. These describe the factors by which the total fields differ from the external fields. This replaces epsilon 0 and mu 0 in the description to electric and magnetic fields in Maxwell's equations, with the result that in a material medium of permittivity epsilon and magnetic permeability mu, the velocity of light becomes v is equal to 1 upon square root of mu epsilon, equation 11. Thus, the velocity of light depends on electric and magnetic properties of the medium. The refractive index of one medium with respect to the other is equal to the ratio of velocities of light in the two media. The velocity of electromagnetic waves in free space or vacuum is an important fundamental constant. It has been shown by experiments on electromagnetic waves of different wavelengths that this velocity is the same, independent of wavelength, to within a few meters per second, out of a value of 3 × 10⁸ meter per second. The meter is now defined as the distance travelled by light in vacuum in a time, that is 1 upon c seconds is equal to 2.9979245 into 10⁸ whole raised to -1 seconds. This has come about for the following reason. The basic unit of time can be defined very accurately in terms of some atomic frequency, that is, frequency of light emitted by an atom in a particular process. The basic unit of length is harder to define as accurately in a direct way. Earlier measurement of c using earlier units of length, meter dots, etc., converged to a value of about 2.9979246 into 10⁸ meter per second. Since c is such a strongly fixed number, unit of length can be defined in terms of c and the unit of time. Hertz not only showed the existence of electromagnetic waves but also demonstrated that the waves, which had a wavelength 10 million times that of the light waves, could be diffracted, refracted, and polarized. Thus, he conclusively established the wave nature of the radiation. Further, he produced stationary electromagnetic waves and determined their wavelength by measuring the distance between two successive notes. Since the frequency of the wave was known, being equal to the frequency of the oscillator, he obtained the speed of the wave using the formula v is equal to nu lambda and found that the waves travelled at the same speed as the speed of light. The fact that electromagnetic waves are polarized can be easily seen in the response of a portable AM radio to a broadcasting station. If an AM radio has a telescopic antenna, it responds to the electric part of the signal. When the antenna is turned horizontal, the signal will be greatly diminished. Some portable radios have horizontal antenna that is usually inside the case of the radio, which are sensitive to the magnetic component of the electromagnetic wave. Such a radio must remain horizontal in order to receive the signal. In such cases, the response also depends on the orientation of the radio with respect to the station. Do electromagnetic waves carry energy and momentum like other waves? Yes, they do. We have seen in previous chapter that in a region of free space with electric field E, there is an energy density epsilon 0 E squared upon 2. Similarly, as seen in previous chapter, associated with a magnetic field B is a magnetic energy density B square upon 2 mu 0. As electromagnetic wave contains both electric and magnetic fields, there is a non-zero energy density associated with it. Now, consider a plane perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the electromagnetic wave. If there are on this plane electric charges, they will be set and sustained in motion by the electric and magnetic fields of the electromagnetic wave. The charges thus acquire energy and momentum from the waves. This just illustrates the fact that an electromagnetic wave, like other waves, carries energy and momentum. Since it carries momentum, an electromagnetic wave also exerts pressure, called radiation pressure. If the total energy transferred to a surface in time t is u, it can be shown that the magnitude of the total momentum delivered to this surface for complete absorption is P is equal to U upon C, equation 12. When the sun shines on your hand, you feel the energy being absorbed by the electromagnetic waves, that is, your hands get warm. Electromagnetic waves also transfer momentum to your hand, but because C is very large, the amount of momentum transferred is extremely small, and you do not feel the pressure. In 1903, the American scientist Nichols and Hull succeeded in measuring the radiation pressure of visible light and verified equation 12. It was found to be of the order of 7 into 10 raised to minus 6 Newton per meter square. Thus, on a surface of area 10 cm square, the force due to radiation is only about 7 into 10 raised to minus 9 Newton. The great technological importance of electromagnetic waves stems from their capability to carry energy from one place to another. The radio and TV signals from broadcasting stations carry energy. Light carries energy from the sun to the earth, thus making life possible on the earth. Example: a plain electromagnetic wave of frequency 25 MHz travels in free space along the x direction. At a particular point in space and time, E is equal to 6.3 J cap volt per meter. What is B at this point? Solution: using equation 10, the magnitude of B is equal to E upon C is equal to 6.3 volt per meter upon 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second is equal to 2.1 into 10 raised to minus 8 Tesla. To find the direction, we note that E is along y direction and the wave propagates along x-axis. Therefore, B should be in a direction perpendicular to both x and y axes. Using vector algebra, E into B should be along x direction. Since plus j cap into plus k cap is equal to I cap, B is along the z direction, thus B is equal to 2.1 into 10 raised to minus 8 k cap Tesla. Example: the magnetic field in a plane electromagnetic wave is given by By is equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 sine 0.5 into 10 cube x plus 1.5 into 10 raised to 11 t Tesla. A. What is the wavelength and frequency of the wave? B. Write an expression for the electric field. Solution A. Comparing the given equation with By is equal to B0 sine 2 pi into x upon lambda plus small t upon capital T. We get lambda is equal to 2 pi upon 0.5 into 10 cube meter is equal to 1.26 centimeter. And 1 upon t is equal to nu is equal to 1.5 into 10 raised to 11 upon 2 pi is equal to 23.9 gigahertz. B E0 is equal to B0C is equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Tesla into 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second is equal to 6 into 10 raised to 1 volt per meter. The electric field component is perpendicular to the direction of propagation and the direction of magnetic field. Therefore, the electric field component along the z-axis is obtained as Z is equal to 60 sine 0.5 into 10 cube x plus 1.5 into 10 raised to 11 t volt per meter. Example, light with an energy flux of 18 watt per centimeter square falls on a non-reflecting surface at normal incidence. If the surface has an area of 20 centimeter square, find the average force exerted on the surface during a 30-minute time span. Solution: the total energy falling on the surface is U is equal to 18 watt per centimeter square into 20 centimeter square into 30 into 60 second is equal to 6.48 into 10 raised to 5 joule. Therefore, the total momentum delivered for complete absorption is P is equal to U upon C is equal to 6.48 into 10 raised to minus 5 joule upon 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second is equal to 2.16 into 10 raised to minus 3 kilogram into meter per second. The average force exerted on the surface is F is equal to P upon T is equal to 2.16 into 10 raised to minus 3 upon 0.18 into 10 raised to 4 is equal to 1.2 into 10 raised to minus 6 Newton. Example, calculate the electric and magnetic fields produced by the radiation coming from a 100-watt bulb at a distance of 3 meter. Assume that the efficiency of the bulb is 2.5% and it is a point source. Solution: the bulb as a point source radiates light in all directions uniformly. At a distance of 3 meter, the surface area of the surrounding sphere is A is equal to 4 pi r square is equal to 4 pi into 3 square is equal to 113 meter square. The intensity at this distance is I is equal to power upon area is equal to 100 watt into 2.5% upon 113 meter square is equal to 0.022 watt per meter square. Half of this intensity is provided by the electric field and half by the magnetic field. 1 upon 2 I is equal to 1 upon 2 epsilon 0 ERMS square C is equal to 1 upon 2 into 0.022 watt per meter square. ERMS is equal to square root of 0.022 upon 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12 into 3 into 10 raised to 8 volt per meter is equal to 2.9 volt per meter. The value of E found above is the root mean square value of the electric field. Since the electric field in a light beam is sinusoidal, the peak electric field E0 is equal to root 2 ERMS is equal to root 2 into 2.9 volt per meter is equal to 4.07 volt per meter. Thus, you see that the electric field strength of the light that you use for reading is fairly large. Compare it with electric field strength of TV or FM waves, which is of the order of a few microvolts per meter. Now, let us calculate the strength of the magnetic field. It is Brms is equal to ERMS upon C is equal to 2.9 volt per meter upon 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second is equal to 9.6 into 10 raised to minus 9 Tesla. Again, since the field in the light beam is sinusoidal, the peak magnetic field is B0 is equal to root 2 Brms is equal to 1.4 into 10 raised to minus 8 Tesla. Note that although the energy in the magnetic field is equal to the energy in the electric field, the magnetic field strength is evidently very weak. Electromagnetic spectrum. At the time Maxwell predicted the existence of electromagnetic waves, the only familiar electromagnetic waves were the visible light waves. The existence of ultraviolet and infrared waves was barely established. By the end of the 19th century, X-rays and gamma rays had also been discovered. We now know that electromagnetic waves include visible light waves, X-rays, gamma rays, radio waves, microwaves, ultraviolet, and infrared waves. The classification of EM waves according to frequency is the electromagnetic spectrum. There is no sharp division between one kind of wave and the next. The classification is based roughly on how the waves are produced and or detected. We briefly describe these different types of electromagnetic waves in order of decreasing wavelengths. Number 1. Radio waves. Radio waves are produced by the accelerated motion of charges in conducting wires. They are used in radio and television communication systems. They are generally in the frequency range from 500 kHz to about 1000 MHz. The AM, that is amplitude modulated, band is from 530 kHz to 1710 kHz. Higher frequencies up to 54 MHz are used for short wave bands. TV waves range from 54 MHz to 890 MHz. The FM, that is frequency modulated radio band, extends from 88 MHz to 108 MHz. Cellular phones use radio waves to transmit voice communication in the ultra-high frequency, that is UHF band. Number 2. Microwaves. Microwaves, that is short wavelength radio waves with frequencies in the gigahertz, that is GHz range, are produced by special vacuum tubes called klystrons, magnetrons, and gun diodes. Due to their short wavelengths, they are suitable for the radar systems used in aircraft navigation. Radar also provides the basis for the speed guns used to time fastballs, tennis serves, and automobiles. Microwave ovens are an interesting domestic application of these waves. In such ovens, the frequency of the microwaves is selected to match the resonant frequency of water molecules so that energy from the waves is transferred efficiently to the kinetic energy of the molecules. This raises the temperature of any food containing water. Number 3. Infrared waves. Infrared waves are produced by hot bodies and molecules. This band lies adjacent to the low frequency or long wavelength end of the visible spectrum. Infrared waves are sometimes referred to as heat waves. This is because water molecules present in most materials readily absorb infrared waves. Many other molecules, for example, carbon dioxide, CO2, ammonia, NH3 also absorb infrared waves. After absorption, their thermal motion increases, that is, they heat up and heat their surroundings. Infrared lamps are used in physical therapy. Infrared radiation also plays an important role in maintaining the Earth's warmth or average temperature through the greenhouse effect. Incoming visible light, which passes relatively easily through the atmosphere, is absorbed by the Earth's surface and re-radiated as infrared, that is, longer wavelength radiations. This radiation is trapped by greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and water vapor. Infrared detectors are used in Earth satellites, both for military purposes and to observe the growth of crops. Electronic devices, for example, semiconductor light emitting diodes, also emit infrared and are widely used in the remote switches of household electronic systems such as TV sets, video recorders, and hi-fi systems. Number 4. Visible rays. It is the most familiar form of electromagnetic waves. It is the part of the spectrum that is detected by the human eye. It runs from about 4 into 10 raised to 14 Hz to about 7 into 10 raised to 14 Hz, or a wavelength range of about 700 to 400 nanometer. Visible light emitted or reflected from objects around us provides us information about the world. Our eyes are sensitive to this range of wavelengths. Different animals are sensitive to different range of wavelengths. For example, snakes can detect infrared waves, and the visible range of many insects extends well into the ultraviolet. Number 5. Ultraviolet rays. It covers wavelengths ranging from about 4 into 10 raised to minus 7 meter, that is 400 nanometer, down to 6 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter, that is 0.6 nanometer. Ultraviolet, that is UV radiation, is produced by spatial lamps and very hot bodies. The sun is an important source of ultraviolet light, but fortunately, most of it is absorbed in the ozone layer in the atmosphere at an altitude of about 40 to 50 km. UV light in large quantities has harmful effects on humans. Exposure to UV radiation induces the production of more melanin, causing tanning of the skin. UV radiation is absorbed by ordinary glass. Hence, one cannot get tanned or sunburned through glass windows. Welders wear special glass goggles or face masks with glass windows to protect their eyes from large amounts of UV produced by welding arcs. Due to its shorter wavelengths, UV radiations can be focused into very narrow beams for high precision applications such as LASIK, that is, laser assisted in situ keratomycesis eye surgery. UV lamps are used to kill germs in water purifiers. The ozone layer in the atmosphere plays a protective role, and hence its depletion by chlorofluorocarbons, that is CFCS gas, such as freon, is a matter of international concern. Number 6. X-rays. Beyond the UV region of the electromagnetic spectrum lies the X-ray region. We are familiar with X-rays because of its medical applications. It covers wavelengths from about 10 raised to minus 8 meter, that is 10 nanometer, down to 10 raised to minus 13 meter, that is 10 raised to minus 4 nanometer. One common way to generate X-rays is to bombard a metal target by high-energy electrons. X-rays are used as a diagnostic tool in medicine and as a treatment for certain forms of cancer. Because X-rays damage or destroy living tissues and organisms, care must be taken to avoid unnecessary or overexposure. Number 7. Gamma rays. They lie in the upper frequency range of the electromagnetic spectrum and have wavelengths of from about 10 raised to minus 10 meter to less than 10 raised to minus 14 meter. This high frequency radiation is produced in nuclear reactions and also emitted by radioactive nuclei. They are used in medicine to destroy cancer cells. Table summarizes different types of electromagnetic waves, their production and detections. As mentioned earlier, the demarcation between different regions is not sharp and there are overlaps. Type, wavelength range, production, detection. Radio, greater than 0.1 meter. Rapid acceleration and declarations of electrons in aerials. Receivers, aerials. Microwave, 0.1 meter to 1 millimeter. Klystron valve or magnetron valve. Point contact diodes. Infrared, 1 millimeter to 700 nanometer. Vibration of atoms and molecules. Thermopiles, bolometer, infrared photographic film. Light, 700 nanometer to 400 nanometer. Electrons in atoms emit light when they move from one energy level to a lower energy level. The eye, photocells, photographic film. Ultraviolet, 400 nanometer to 1 nanometer. Inner shell electrons in atoms moving from one energy level to a lower level. Photocells, photographic film. X-rays, 1 nanometer to 10 raised to minus 3 nanometer. X-ray tubes or inner shell electrons. Photographic film. Geiger tubes. Ionization chamber. Gamma rays, less than 10 raised to minus 3 nanometer. Radioactive decay of the nucleus, or as per above.